So much has been written about what it means to be a Jew in today's world. But what does it mean to be a chassid?
Was ist a chassid? Hat der Rebbe nicht mehr sehen geantwortet, als a chassid ist das a Lanternenstück. A Lanterne heißt das a Panos, a Fanar, was mit 10 Tonnen Gas gedeiht zu machen, lichte Kehr bei Nacht. Amole gewinnt der Seder, als pflegt sein ungegräht Klumpen oder Licht in verschiedene Orten in Stadt und zu Vernacht zu ihr gewinnt a Ish Hamemuna aus er. Gewinnt a Mensch, was sie gewinnt auf Druf, dass sie gewinnt sein Ninien, als pflegt herumgehen mit alleinigen Stecken, warum die Fanaren, die Lanterne seien gestanden in der Heer, pflegt herumgehen mit alleinigen Stecken, was auf Leben ist gewähnt ungezündet nach Feier und pflegt der Miet zugehen zu den allen Lanternen und pflegt sie anziehen. Und der Menschen hat ihn gerufen, Lanternenstück.
One of the hardest days of my life, but I knew that David would be there with me and my family to do what I thought was his final prayers, which was to lay tefillin and have my dad do his one last mitzvah on this earth.
When I was a young girl, I came from a home that was quite dysfunctional. And at 11 years old, my parents separated and then later divorced. I was completely abandoned by my father. My mother remarried when I was about 17 years old. And then when she passed, my stepdad also abandoned me. One of the lowest part of my life was when my eldest son, Josh, spent 70 days in jail.
I grew up in Buffalo, New York, an immigrant from Eastern Europe. As it turned out, I went 3 days a week to a Lubavitcher yeshiva in Buffalo, right until I was bar mitzvahed. And I was bar mitzvahed at the Lubavitcher shul. After that, my stepfather wanted me to go to Brooklyn, New York to the yeshiva. I went there in my freshman year in high school, and the yeshiva was in Williamsburg, Torah Vodas, a Lubavitcher yeshiva. I managed to stay there for the year before I was thrown out. My stepfather did not give up, and the following year sent me to Yeshiva University High School in Manhattan. He stayed there for the year, and at the end of the year, I was told not to bother coming back for my junior year.
Biklolos asipore da verstandig a das, was man meint Lanterne, das näher a Weihe nicht mehr sodo. Und auf Druf sagt man, als do a Tafki, als do a seine Licht, was man eise siebesche Tihie, dann sie noch nicht angezündet. Und was ist darin und was ist a Chassid, als darf gehen und anzünden Licht.
The rabbi was by our side and he laid tefillin on my dad and then turned to my son Dan and said, "Hey Dan, you had a bar mitzvah?" And Dan said, "No, Rabbi." And he goes, "Well, Dan, would you like to have a bar mitzvah?" And Dan said, "No, that's cool. No, it's all right. I don't think so." When the rabbi looked at my father and said, "Peishi, you want Dan to have a bar mitzvah?" And my dad, who had been lying unconscious for 3 days, opened his big blue eyes and went, "Ugh." And right then and there, Dan said, "Okay, Pop, okay, anything you want." And
After my son was released from jail, a big time later, he decided to walk into Chabad. Him doing that changed our entire family. He was welcomed with open arms and he was treated with such love and respect. I wasn't used to people treating him that way. And one day he asked if I would go to the shul with him. And I'm like, "Okay, I'll go." Wasn't sure what it was going to be like. But I went, and from the moment when I walked into the door, I was welcomed with such open arms. And then when I heard the rabbi speak, it sparked something inside of me. And I just knew that I had to come back.
The rabbi was giving one of his courses. My wife Lorraine wanted very much to attend. She eventually persuaded me to do that, and that's when I first met the rabbi. I was pretty much sold after the first class, and I guess that's when my love affair with him began.
Und das, was geht jene Mond finden, ist der Ingen, was leichter noch, sie das schämen, und Psylo, und das nicht sein, das liegt bei jenem schön fertiger Heid, und das, was ist jene Mond finden, nicht der Pirusch, als bringt mal Ingen mit Bachut, weckt in dem Muf, oder der Ingen, was da beim Zweiten von früher. Davon sind nach Zweitens nicht schon mehr, ist mehr nicht, was mir darf jene Meere sein, mit Gala sein, die Nekuda Sayades, was hat bei sich behalten, auf Aris nehmen, ihr Milat Mina Keche Lapel, danach wird es bei jenem Jatz mit Gifte.
That moment, we held the bar mitzvah for my son Dan with his unborn son.
Chabad didn't change me as a person. It just made me who I was inside come out. Now I am known as Devorah Chana.
My relationship with the rabbi makes me think of the book by Thomas Wolfe, You Can't Go Home Again. I think I can tell you that you can go home again. I feel I have come home again.
Through Chabad, through coming here, through meeting with wonderful friends and family, I also had the incredible opportunity to meet my Bashert, a woman that I will just spend the rest of my life with.
What's amazing about this place is that nobody just sits around and waits for things to happen. Everyone is an active participant. The first job is you're a guest, but the next you're a host, and the following you're on the Kiddush committee. Just ask Cindy and Marcia. They hardly walked through the doors when they were notified that they'd be cheering this dinner. And they said yes. That's what it means to be a lamplighter. To recognize that there's a darkness, that there's a need, and to step up and take it upon yourself to do something about it. Not to sit around and wait for someone else to do the job.
I find it so very meaningful that this building was formerly a fire station. Forever this building will be associated with fire. And as we inaugurate the new Chabad house here in Palm Beach Gardens, the former fire station, instead of extinguishing the flames, from henceforth on, it is our mission to fan the flames of Yiddishkeit, to fan the flames of Chassidus, of joy, of happiness, and gladness of heart throughout all of Palm Beach Gardens. At this point, each and every one of us becomes ambassadors of light, ambassadors of fire, to spread the love, to spread the light, to spread the passion to each and every person that we encounter. Indeed, let there be light.